You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our computer radio show. See, this is the Classic Gamers Guild podcast, because, you know, it is. Let's not get into explaining why things are or aren't it. This is going great. Just remember, before we really get into today's episode, that this is free, you know? So, but today we're talking...
Valid point.
Right, you know, just a voluntary payment thing. Anyways, today we're talking 1991. All the classic games in from then.
Right,
So.
and it's just you and I because unexpectedly we have just become a slightly smaller podcast for one day because Rick, if you don't mind me saying, went on a really long bike ride and probably fell asleep. So have a good sleep, Rick, and we'll be fine.
Yes, he's probably having an adorable little dad nap on the couch, and the kind of dad nap where, like, when you say, "Are you sleeping?" they always like, "No, huh? I wasn't sleeping." Like, we all know you. It's been like an hour.
Yeah, no, they've never sleep ever. Ever.
I'm also picturing Rick with a distasteful mustache and New Balance shoes. For anybody else that wants to join me on this delightful visual.
Since it's a podcast, I can imagine they'll be able to do that. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so we're talking about 1991 in video games, because it's an amazing year, and it's the year we picked. We were gonna do 1988, and we didn't. So that's the origin story of the episode.
But shout out to King's Quest 4, right?
Yep.
I mean, at least
Yeah.
there's actually some pretty good notables in 1988. If we were to have talked about it, which we're not, Gold Rush is also in there.
Yes, exactly. And if we were to continue to talk about it, which we're not, Police Quest 2 was also in it, and we're just like, let's not do it, because I'll just end up telling everybody about the Japanese Police Quest 2 thing again.
Oh, gee, how did that come up?
And honestly, it's not much fun to talk about Gold Rush when Rick's not here, so...
No.
You know,
no,
we're
it's
going
not as
to 91.
antagonistic. Yeah. 91 was good, though. I mean, 91 actually gave me, because I played everything horribly out of order, it gave me my first Space Quest game, which was Space Quest 4.
Right. Now, was that the first Space Quest game you played?
Mm-hmm. It actually
Okay.
was. I never, like, I'd seen about the series in the books, but I'd never played any of them at all. So my dad came home with this one, and I'm like, oh, man, this game looks amazing. And I was right. It was freaking amazing.
Yes, I mean, so that's a lot of people's favorite for sure. Mm-hmm. I love all the Space Quest games. It gets harder and harder each year for me to put that specific series in any sort of order, because they're just all so good. I thought I didn't like 2, but I recently replayed it, and it was a great time. I'm like, oh, there's that maze with the vine plant. It was actually really fun, because it's not like a maze. It's more like, you know, don't step on the thing. Anyway, that's not 91 or Space Quest 4,
No.
right? So
That would be a great episode idea, Paul. We'll consider that in the future.
This episode is now on 1987, I decided. All right. I hope that's the right year. It'd be cool if I sounded, you know, as I should on these things that we talk about. So anyway,
Yeah. No, I see a thing. I went like, okay, so when we decided this was going to be the episode topic tonight, and I'm sure we decided a long time ago and have been researching it heavily ever since. But anyways, in the meantime, I have pulled down all the big boxes of games that I have found to be done in that year. And I've got Space Quest 4, Police Quest 3, Larry 5, Willy Beamish, and Conquest of the Longbow. And I've noticed that there are all these big, beautiful, thick, chunky boxes. And to me, it's sort of like when they shifted from text games to point and click, or parser games to point and click, they switched as well to these big, chunky boxes, which I never really thought about it till I started pulling them all down, because I didn't play them in order, and I didn't make a lot of those connections.
Yeah, that's a really good observation. It really is, because I was thinking all the SCI Zero games like Space Quest 3, they were all like the skinny ones. Yeah, wonder if it was 90 or 91 that the actual transition happened, but it doesn't matter because, we know now that's, 91 was the age of the big chunky boxes.
Well, King's Quest V is a big chunky box, and that was done in 90, and then King's Quest VI was as well. So I'm guessing sort of the real transition year was probably 90. Did we talk about 90 before? 90 was probably a good year too, but...
Yeah, well now we're doing 1990. We decided this is a trip through the years.
But no, these are big, beautiful, chunky boxes, and I have a love-hate relationship with this kind of era, being that it's funny. In Space Quest, I was perfectly fine with point and click because it's the first one I played. But with, say, King's Quest or Leisure Suit Larry, I was mad that it was point and click because I wanted it to be a parser, which is a bit silly now that I'm realizing they came out in the same year. I was being rather unfair. Same, Willy Beamish. I'm holding on to Willy Beamish. Big chunky game, right? Came out in 1991, point and click. I never had a problem with that. So maybe I was just being a bitch. I don't know.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, it's possible. I was just thinking we should do like actually not we. You should do like big box ASMR where you just like, gently glide your fingers across it while whispering its definition to people, because apparently that's...
it's true. Let me just slide it open. Hey, can y'all hear this? That's Longbow. Hang on, I'm just going to take off the cover. This episode is this is the Patreon special. Hold on. Sliding discs around. Hear those? Oh, these are some nice big floppies, man, I tell you. 9 Men Morris board. Who wants to play some 9 Men's Morris? Let's go. It's a beautiful thing. All right, back to the episode.
Rick left us alone and we just immediately sexualized big boxes. That's well played.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm proud of us.
Which is funny because on the sexy episode, we did the opposite, making it sexy.
And when you were sliding the box in and out, I was like, I don't know if we can do that on air, right?
I don't know. That's just a bit much.
Not on old-timey computer radio.
But yeah, like I said, big sweet boxes, big change in the games happening. Although, funny enough, the Heart of China, that's a Dynamix.
Yes, that is the correct pronunciation.
Of course it is. It's nothing to do with the blender. But yeah, it's a beautiful box, but it's a skinny box. And I have the Spellcasting 201, which also came out in that year, and it's slightly thicker than the Heart of China box, but not quite as thick as your Sierra boxes. So it was really an inconsistent year. Collectors must have been having, the sweats, being like, oh my God, how do I organize this now? Do I organize it by size? Do I organize it by collection? Or maybe that's just a thing now because we collect now, and I actually do think about that sort of thing.
Yeah, the year, the engine. Ooh, that's the connoisseur level.
Man,
or
that's like your level.
It's
beyond me. I love it.
I mean, I imagine the listeners by now still listen because they already know it's 90% adventure at least. So, but, that's just in case there's some really big non-adventure games. So, look, I'm just doing what Rick would do if he was here, all right? I don't want to do this. I didn't even want to search it, but I did, and it's fine. The list is great. So I'm going to say some games at you guys now. So you sometimes we click on videos or listen to things just to make sure they said the thing we wanted to hear. This is me doing that now, right? We got Zelda, The Legend of.
That's actually...
I wasn't prepared for that to be backwards online. Sorry. That's a little comment.
That wasn't A Link to the Past was my favorite, but I like that it was the beginning of what became, those things.
Yeah, probably, right? That's what I would say if I knew really what was going on with Zelda.
Yeah, that's all I know. I wanted to sound like I knew what I was talking about, and, I just fucked that up too, so, okay.
It had a gold cartridge, and as a kid, that was just... Everything was downhill from there. The cartridge was great, and then I plugged it in and was like, oh, yeah, it's one of these. They're fine. I don't not like it. Honestly, I've not played it enough to say, look, I'm backtracking now because I just came close to shitting on a beloved classic game, and I shouldn't because I've never even played it, and that's not fair. I'm a dick. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
We've shit on a lot of things other people wouldn't agree with. I'm just surprised that our emails aren't more aggressive that people send us, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
I'm
thanks,
not
guys.
trying to give anybody ideas, so thank you for being, stand-up
Yeah,
great citizens.
don't start now. Yeah. I'm actually quite sensitive.
A little.
Please
We
don't
all
hurt me.
are. A little bit.
We got Street Fighter 2. I did play this game a lot for like one summer. I had a friend come over. I think I know he was using me, but I didn't know it at the time. He was like 3 grades older than me, so I signed up for it. It's like, oh well, I'm hanging out with the cool kid. He was just using me for the Nintendo, and I had a wrestling bed, like a wrestling ring, and he would sit on it and chew on the ropes when he played, and I was always too much of a coward to ask him to please stop chewing on my bed.
Yeah, like, don't do that, man. But you're so cool. I've thought about that. Like, I've done that for people, too. Especially when you know them at first and they're new and say they're really older or good looking. I get it.
Yeah, we're
As
both,
a kid,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, as a kid.
I mean, of course. I mean, we would never do something like that now.
No.
False idols and no, none of that. We're smart. We're much smarter now.
Probably, yeah. Okay, this is an obligatory list here. Final Fantasy IV, I hear it doesn't get good till 7 or maybe 9. This is not my
actually,
territory.
6. I'm playing 6 right now. 6 is amazing. I just got Gao, It's really good. I mean, you don't know, so I'm saying something that's above your head to sound smart. But I'm on the Velt, and I'm getting his rages going. It's all good. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a good game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fun editing this and hearing myself back there because I just panicked and went, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know
totally.
yeah.
Every time I play it, I totally love him. Gao, he's great. Yeah.
I gotta go back to Street Fighter real quick because I do have something to say about a non-adventure game that I was so not born to play other genres that all I would do in Street Fighter all summer was just pick Blanca and just mash the B button.
Electrify everybody.
Yeah, because you didn't have to learn anything. You could just mash that
Exactly.
and it was fine.
It's really fast. So you could have just done like Ken or whatever and just been like the downside hit, just shoot things. I mean, it's
Actually,
a pretty easy one.
Yeah, like
it
left
was
down
pretty easy.
B or something, right? Yeah, it's like a fluid thumb movement. I remember that.
Exactly. Is that the one with Chun-Li too? Isn't that Chun-Li? Yeah, she just hits or she just kicks.
That's right. Yeah.
That was my favorite because you just could sit there. Actually, Blanca versus her was a really hard fight because she's trying to just do her kick move and he's sitting there electrifying her every time she does it. But she's a little bit faster, so she can come in behind him while he goes all like cuckoo, really easy, right? Too. So
Yeah.
that those two are solid against each other actually because I find the two of them to be kind of cheat characters, if I do say so myself.
All right,
That somebody with real skill can kick the asses of, by the way.
Well, at some point you did lose me as far as remembering and knowing more than I do, but I'd like to think I fought the good fight and really, yeah.
You did good, man. I have boys, so I still play this like I have it, so I play it.
That's, yeah, as one would, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh God, there's still a lot of big non-adventure ones. Jesus. All right,
Are we gonna?
Battletoads.
Yeah, hurry up. Otherwise, we won't have time for all these lovely adventure games. I've never really played Battletoads.
The sixth title for this episode will be our non-adventure game extravaganza. We finally talked about the other ones. All right, Battletoads. That's great. A lot of people love that. That one I've never played ever. So I don't know. Do you have an opinion on it?
No.
Great, fantastic. Thank God. Sonic the Hedgehog is that.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
so that's fun. Sonic's in a special tier of games where, like, there's like 5 games that gamers or people that just don't play games have played. And it's like it's Sonic, Mario, Tetris, and like you can make up 2 more. It's fine. I left them open for your imagination.
Like Sonic. I still have Sonic. I have all the Sonics. I like all the Sonics. They're good. And there's adaptations, too, if you want to get Sonic for your Android. You can have Sonic everywhere you go.
Yeah, exactly.
He's your buddy now. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great for a bowel movement. Just, sit down, take 5, remember something fun, and be done with it.
Exactly. Spin, 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 and go.
Yeah. None of us clean our phones enough.
No,
Anyway, all
not
right.
at all.
We got we got Super Castlevania. We got Another World. we did an episode on that, so, check that out. You can tell I just cut that in editing-wise, I'm sure. It's fine. We could break the fourth wall when Rick's not here.
What about Police Quest 3? That came out in that year, too, because that was an entirely different... It was photorealistic. I was just like, what the hell is happening? I'm looking at the back of the box, and I'm just like, is this TV I'm watching? Dude.
I came around on that game for sure. I was a little standoffish about the art at first, but I think I had to, one, play it again, and two, keep in mind that it was a realism thing at the time. But now just from a pixel art point of view, it's really good. It's got a almost like digitally rendered kind of look to it.
I was mad at it too. I was like, oh no, it's not number 2. But or it was different enough that I was bothered at first. And then the driving and how it was set up was a little bit off, but now I appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, I can appreciate the realism. That being said, I appreciate it, but I don't like it in the sense that it's the only Sierra game with an EGA counterpart that I prefer the EGA, for sure. The EGA looks awesome.
That's funny that it even exists, that's even a thing.
Yeah, there's a couple of them like Space Quest 4 for example, and Longbow, Willy Beamish. There's a couple of them where it's not just like a driver for EGA, like Dagger of Amon-Ra is an example where it'll say VGA or EGA, but the EGA is just a driver, so it's like a digital downscale, and it's terrible by default, inherently. But there's those few that I just named, including Police Quest 3, where they actually hired their art team to spend hours drawing every screen in 16 color. And it's incredible how bad they mostly all... Space Quest 4 is just the worst. It's not something you would play now, given the choice. But Police Quest 3, they brought back... for me, it's they brought back all the Cayennes and Magenta... Maybe not Magentas, but the city, it just feels like Police Quest. It feels more like Police Quest, or at least like Police Quest 2. No, Police Quest, because They were such a vibrant and highly saturated, colorful, beautiful games, the first two. So the realism for me just, I didn't like it. I prefer it with the bloody EGA palette. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the difference between, I'm just looking at my Space Quest 4. It says required, it is VGA or MCGA. What is that?
So
I know CGA, but what's MCGA?
Yeah, I don't know what MCGA is. I'm guessing it's some sort of CGA, but with an M. Sorry.
Oh well, that's what I come to you for, Paul.
Yeah, that's that's the hot scoop on that. It's what they've done there.
Because if I look at Conquest of the Longbow, it is simply VGA in giant letters, and that is it. It doesn't say anything else.
Right. Okay. And so that's one of the ones that has its own EGA counterpart, so that makes sense. So I guess a good way to think of it with the Sierra games would be in this era, of course, the SCI 1, I guess, era onwards. If it says VGA and EGA on the sticker, then it's VGA and it has a driver for EGA. But if it's just one or the other, then it means there's a counterpart, like Dr. Brain, Goblins,
Yeah.
There's
It's funny, I thought Goblins came out later. In my head, I had it placed as 94 because I didn't come across that game until so much later.
Right, yeah, same here. Yeah, I came across, I only ever played it on a demo. It was just so hard.
It's so hard. When I'm people are it's not that hard. I'm no, you are smarter than me. I bet you can play Populous and I don't know, Life or what was it? Afterlife? Yeah, Afterlife.
Yeah.
All of those games that I've never quite been able to figure out because I don't think I'm smart enough.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to do the homework a lot of times with that kind of stuff. Speaking of homework,
it already looks like homework. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I forgot one non-adventure one I wanted to name, which is Civilization. Speaking of homework,
right.
So there we go. I just wanted to say all the big ones.
Oh, Civilization. Hold on, I'm gonna grab my big box for that too. One sec.
Okay, I'm gonna keep saying words to everybody. So next, we're gonna talk about the lesser, the not Sierra LucasArts ones. Oh wait, why am I saying this? She's not here to know that that's the new game plan.
You can see it. This Civilization has a big, beefy micro prose book, 128 pages to start helping you understand how to play this game. Like, that is an instruction book. I respect that.
Yeah, that's back to that homework thing that got us here. It's not for me, you know. Well, there you go. There's the official sound of Civilization. So that's, you know.
Well, I played Civilization 1 when I was a kid, and my dad introduced it to me, and I loved it because it had the little square icons, and it had the number of moves in each thing, and I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. And then he brought home 2, and it completely changed the layout, and I was so mad at the time. So I played it, and then my parents got me, I think it was Heroes of Might and Magic or something like that, and I got them confused because of the move between the two, and I couldn't figure out the difference. So for years I was on the hunt for Civilization 1, but everybody kept telling me, no, you're talking about Heroes of Might and Magic, because it was kind of like the same move structure, but obviously I have that sorted now. So.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I actually played Civilization when it was new. I think like literally 93, which I'm in Canada, so like that's practically new for a 1991 game, and I've loved it so much. So there's a certain, like, I know 3 is better, and a lot of people are big on 3, and 3 is played the most in this house, hot seat and everything else, but 1 hits me in the sweet spot of nostalgia. So, thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, no, that was, would I do it again? I don't know. All right.
I was mad at Larry 5 too, and I've said that on the show before. I was mad at Larry 5 because it wasn't Larry 4, and then I got Codename Iceman, and then I got Larry 5, and I was like, fuck both of you right now. I was so mad, and I felt like Larry 5 pulled the whole, like, what is a paladin on me? I'm just like, oh my god, yes, I'll save my game. Oh my god, yes, I know how to do that. Like, would you please stop? And no offense, like, I appreciate the game now. I know this is another episode entirely, but back then I was kind of mad at 5.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of 5. I just played it like a few months ago, and it's it doesn't. You don't get any real gratification. There's no like challenge or nothing you really over. You just kind of do what it says, I guess. And I don't know. I just wouldn't say not a fan. I did have fun, because ultimately I just don't finish stuff if I don't like it. But yeah, it was a huge drop from 3.
I should have liked it more because you got to play as Patty as well, right? So I would have been like, oh yeah, totally into that. So I was kind of surprised I wasn't more into it. And that cool graphics, like the 90s stylization and stuff, is great. So I'm a lot more forgiving on it now.
Yeah, I'm torn on that. I do like its campiness, though. But yeah, I played 2, 3, and 5 back to back like a year ago, and 3 was just the best. Mm-hmm. So when you get to 5, it's really different. It's almost like a different series.
It is. Like I said, I remember being mad, but not mad enough to like not play it and finish it. Because I'm like, there's still hot chicks. Like, it's still Leisure Suit Larry and everything. And I was fine. I was just like, But then you get over it, so. Which again is totally unfair, because again with Space Quest, I didn't get mad at Space Quest 4 for being a point and click. There was no reason, but I'm like, well, there's Gary Owen, so how can I really get mad anyway?
Yeah, you reminded me of a point I meant to bring up earlier, where you had said that you shouldn't get mad at it for being a point and click and not a parser at the time, and that it was going to maybe be, maybe just, did you say you were disappointed that it wasn't a parser, or that it was? It
wasn't a parser. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was like always like, hey, why aren't you parser anymore? And why isn't everything in DOS anymore? I guess I've always been nostalgic, right?
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah, no, because it reminded me the whole. I'm sure a lot of listeners know this by now, so we can breeze through it. But the whole thing where Space Quest 4 was potentially kind of supposed to be in parser, and like, yeah,
I didn't know that.
Some things went down where I think apparently this is I'm getting this from the Sierra Adventure by Sean Mills, which you should definitely go pick up for sure. It's amazing.
Great
but the story was like, they were asked if they wanted to do it in parser or point and click, and I think it was kind of a bluff, because they picked parser and then were later more told it was going to be point and click. And again, I don't remember who's the horse's mouth, let's say, from that story, but apparently it's how it went down, and to the point where I think they had begun work on it. So like somewhere there's at least a rough bait of 4 with a parser, which would be awesome, because I personally rank 3 and 5 above 4, so I wouldn't mind kind of messing around with it and seeing it in parser to maybe make it number one on the list kind of thing, but I also know it's like super beloved to so many, and for good reason, so it's probably best left alone. But personally, I'd probably like a parser version. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would totally like a parser version. I don't even know why I was mad about it now either. I'm like, oh yeah, make sure my games are harder because apparently that's a good thing. But like legit, I felt that way. I was just like, oh, now it's so easy and I'm so mad. I'm like, am I that smart? No, but that's how I felt.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, if you could have Space Quest 4 as only a parser or a point and click, would you gamble and say parser, or would you stick with a point and click?
Oh man, to have a parser and have it with hand-painted VGA graphics, that would be a dream.
That's a really good point. We never got to see a parser with those graphics too. Yeah, it'd go the same. But again, we're biased to the parsers.
Yeah, but again, why do I always prefer, why did I fight to still work in DOS even in Windows 7, right? I mean, what is it about it being more complicated that makes it attractive to me? Even now as a grown-up where I'm sitting there going, oh my god, this game is so hard and I can't even get through it and I need a walkthrough, like why am I still holding on to that idea? But I am.
You're plucky. You got the idea.
But since we're in the Sierra run, right, Conquest of the Longbow, you've got another big, thick, beautiful box. You've got board games. You've got all sorts of things going on. Christy Marks, who, of course, did Gem, which, as I've mentioned before, I had no idea was the same person when I was a kid. So that's a really great example of some beautiful graphics for the time period.
Yeah, that game's amazing. I'm not sure it's possible to not like it. Like I think worse, like the best you could do is oversell it too much by accident, like I'm borderline doing now, and then have the person be like, yeah, it was fine. But like it's not, I don't think anybody could play it and be like that. I didn't like it actively. I actively took a stance to not like it. It's impossible. It's such a, I don't know, it's there's a lot going on and it's kind of complex, but it also feels really breezy. Like, you know, you're just doing your thing. Like I never really felt super stuck. The Ninesman Morris thing was really cool because it's like the epitome of gaming from that time, and what reason we're all excited for Chinatown Detective Agency, in the sense that it's going to make you look up in real life. Like I kind of liked having to learn a really obscure, old, outdated game to beat the game. Like it was charming. It wasn't like poker in Police Quest, let's say, which I'm not a card game person, and I think people that aren't even a fan of that kind of stuff. But like the fact that it was like, you know, this old historical game that did exist, and you had to learn it from the manual in the box, of course, or Google it if you don't have the box. That was really cool. Like it was a lot of work, but I felt really good at the end. I'm like, I learned Nineman's Morrises for whatever, and beat the part in this game. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. It does feel good to learn board games or any kind of games in another game. And plus, you know what? This game was cool, too, because I remember it let you adjust how hard the arcade sequences were. So, I mean, knowing me, who complains about, games that are point and click being too easy, I think I probably adjusted it to make it easier. Because it's a different kind of easy and not the kind I want. I don't know why.
Right. No, that makes sense. It does. In regards to the arcade sequences, too, where it's like, not always in the mood for that when you're playing an adventure. Like, I think they should be in adventure games if the designer wants them in there, but the designer should probably let you either skip it or virtually skip it by making it elementary easy.
Especially if it doesn't make a difference in the outcome of the game. It's just like to get from here to there. Like, even in Dune, I'm playing Dune right now. You get to look at the pretty scenery, but unless you're looking for a new siege and you don't know exactly where you're going or you're doing something specific, you can just like skip to location. Great. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the Longbows, that's a really good game. One day we should probably consider doing an episode on it, so I'll cut it there because that would be a good one for us to cover. It's that one, and then that's a good game. And then Willie Beamish, like, I think we might have brought that one up before on the show, but another big, thick, chunky box that came out in that year. And with that, like, that year was really big on the cartoon stylization. It seems like that was pretty standard across the board, just about with any company by this time. Yeah, and what's also weird is we were talking pre-show, like, if any of the games this year were kind of, like, sexy or not. And like, sincerely, Willie Beamish popped out as me as being the sexy game. Just because there's so many weird and inappropriate things going on in it. But
and yet you see it and you're like, oh, here's a kid's game, right? There's a kid on the front. Like, here you go, son. Oh, thanks. Why is it that all of a sudden you're repeating the word horny all the time? It's not. It's just the name of a frog. Like, come on.
Why is our sister, who's like a complete 10, standing inside of the bathtub with suds just in the right places? Or
How come you keep walking in on your sister now? I mean, it's really inappropriate. It's just a thing you do. Sometimes you need stuff for her to continue a quest, and she might happen to be in the shower. Like what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why does the nurse have several artistic renditions of her breasts, depending on what console you play it on or game? And they're just cartoonish. And yeah, yeah, you've all probably heard it before. It's a weird one. We're getting shit from Rick right now, who's messaging us.
Hey, I think I heard along the line that we have a special guest to come on our episode tonight. Is there any special guests out there in the wide world that would like to join us? Because I think we hit the end of most of our big box game talks.
Is that what you guys were talking about today? Sorry, I just came in right at the end there.
Oh, I'm so glad you made it. And yes, we were talking about 1991, which was up against 1988, but 1991 won.
Oh, okay. What came out in 1991?
Well, you'll have to listen to find out.
Sorry. Let's just do this whole thing over again. Start over because I missed.
Welcome back to the CGG podcast.
I was subtly waiting in the green room. I came in just in time to hear you talk about the parser and point and click in Leisure Suit Larry. And Paul was acting like he'd never heard you say that before, even though I'm pretty sure you've mentioned that every single episode for the past year.
I was in character. No, before I forget, to keep you, Jesus Christ, that was a train wreck. To catch you up to date, maybe if that's a working sentence, we were just gonna cover. We were gonna cover like the non-Sierra games, which well, hold on. Actually, sorry. Before that, we didn't mention Echo Quest, which is probably pronounced Eco Quest, but I don't like saying it like that.
You don't
That's
like
a great game.
Eco Quest? I'm the other way around. I instinctively call it Eco Quest, but
me too.
The talkie version calls it Echo Quest.
Oh, good.
Weird.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on the side of the talkie. I feel like eco. Like I don't know. It's a weird, slimy little word.
Now that I think of it, I don't even know why how they brought it up. How did they bring up their own title? But I do remember listening to it.
Yeah, really.
And they said something
Welcome
Echo.
to Eco Quest.
Yeah.
Echo Quest.
And they pronounced it Echo, so I'm like, oh crap, that's not how you're supposed to say that.
Okay, good. All right. Now I just have to hear somebody from a Dynamics game call it that, and I can rest easy.
Nobody has, including Ken
Oh
Williams.
man, I would
so
love
sorry.
that so much.
Nope.
Yeah, why you gotta bring up old stuff?
Well, this is still. I mean, in Sierra 2, we do have the Heart of China though. Before you move on, because it is a beautiful game. It comes with beautiful documentation. It is a difficult game.
All right, so let's go through the non-Sierra ones games, excluding LucasArts, because we're gonna save Monkey Island 2 for the end here. So for non-Sierra, there's actually kind of a lot. This was a big year for the other guys, the not Lucas Sierra bunch. We have Sherlock Holmes, and what is it, Serrated Scalpel, I think it was.
Oh, that's
Google's
when they
not,
started coming out. Okay.
Yeah, Google's not showing me the bloody whole name, but yeah, I think it's no. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm glad I clicked on that. Okay, this is Consulting Detective. So I don't know anything about this game. We'll just move on. Serrated Scalpel is a beautiful game, but this is not that. That sounded like Borat by accident. This is not that. I shouldn't have done it a second time. Yeah, it was a regrettable couple of seconds of this show. But we've also got Fascination, which
Just those.
We got Fascination, which we talked a little bit about before. If it triggers any memories, it was a game I mentioned that was unfair, and I want to like it, but the puzzles and everything are kind of just really ridiculous. But I would say, if anybody's thinking about it, it's okay. It's not like a super solid story, but it's not bad either, and it's kind of fun. Just use a walkthrough because if you've played Discworld, it's kind of close to that, like just nonsense puzzles. But it's fun because it's like a sexy adult spy thriller, and it's there's
Very
not a lot of
French.
like adult. Yes, yeah, and it was made by I think Cocktail, right? It was made by a French company.
Yeah, it was goblins people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like there's not many like adult games that are like serious with adventure, at least, because right, like Larry. The only other adult one I can think of is a comedy, so it's it's a mature game, but it's not that good. It's fine. Anyway, we got Less Manly Lost in L.A., which you guys did not talk about because this is the sequel.
We talked about it in passing, like just very briefly. We mostly talked about Search for the King because it's sort of the I can't remember was that EGA or VGA or somewhere in between. I think that was a little bit more of a complicated thing than it really should have been, but it was a parser game anyways. I played a little bit of it. Like I didn't play it all the way through, but I played a little bit of it. It's a really hated game that I didn't hate that much from what I played.
It's pretty. It almost like the big full color, like the beginning scene, almost reminds me of Freddy Farkas just a little bit in the colorings and how the soft backgrounds are and stuff.
I can see that. No. I'm looking at a Wax Museum screenshot, and it's got a Farkas vibe.
It does, it totally. But like when you actually get into the game, it's nothing like that. It's like mildly FMV-like, but not really. It's kind of like a cross between Police Quest 3 and Gabriel Knight, I guess, if you were to look at it.
It doesn't look like they're really committed to a style. Honestly, it's like a little... But I had no idea the first one, again, that's not 91, but whatever. I had no idea that was a parser game. It makes me want to play it a lot more.
Yeah.
Or not.
Go do it. Share your dreams around. You can do it. This really is the sort of the year of the starting with photorealism. Even looking at like Alice, it's an interactive museum, which is not something I played then, but it's literally a visual novel, point and click kind of a game. So it's really a change.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of in between a little bit. I feel like Heart of China kind of has a similar vibe. I don't know. I need to play it before I say that. Well, all right. So we're almost through here because we got Martian Memorandum, which is Tex Murphy game. Anna, you've played that, right? Probably.
Memorandum.
Yeah, that's another great game.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
Martian
you.
Memorandum. Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like an asshole. I just get here and all I'm doing is correcting you for everything that you say.
Well, there's a lot to correct. All right, we got one more. Did you want to say anything about the Tex Murphy game?
No.
It wasn't Under a Killing Moon was my first Tex Murphy game, so I played them out of order.
Played Mean Streets for all of about 2 minutes, but I always wanted to because that's one of the games that we came across at a certain time when we just didn't have the computer good enough to run it.
Well, Mean Streets was a little bit different, even in how you would control your character and stuff. This one, Martian Memorandum, was a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, I've only played Killing Moon. I played Mean Streets for a few minutes too because I was struggling to get it to work, and then I did, so I stopped that whole song and dance we all seem to do. But yeah, I really want to play the Pandora Directive next as far as the Tex Murphy game because it's. I feel like people say that's unanimously maybe the best.
Yeah, I haven't played that one yet either. I really want to. We should do that sometime.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we only got one more non big companies. We got Cruise for a Corpse, which, speaking of games I've been wanting to play for a long time, that is one of them because it looks awesome. I really like
doesn't it?
The art in this game. I like it's a murder mystery. I mean, those are just I'm not sure I'll ever get sick of that particular genre. Maybe it's just not enough of it that it's worn me down, but they're just always great.
Yeah, and I mean, gotta love games on ships. I love games on ships.
Actually, looking at a screenshot I've not seen before, it looks horrible.
Some of them do look. It's kind of like a rounded Another World with more cartoony backgrounds.
Wait, which one is this?
But it's similar. Cruise for a Corpse.
Yeah, some of them. Like the one where he's facing the camera head on, it looks like bad 3D, but it's not.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm seeing that.
I've always heard of this game, and I was not expecting it to look like this.
Yeah, me neither. I must have just had the straight wrong visuals in my head because I just said it was a beautiful game, but this is not what I remember.
Quite.
Agreed. Yeah, it's
really weird looking. Well, it's different. I mean, I do want to play it less now, but
You're listening to us learning on the show live right here.
yeah, we're growing. All right, well, that's it. So let's cover Monkey Island 2 real quick, because especially with the best of years that we do, it's hard to give them enough spotlight and coverage because they typically just have one game a year, if that. Whereas Sierra's usually got like 3 or 4, so we can bang on about that for a while. But they only got one, and it's one of the greatest adventure games of all time. It's I'm not sure. I don't think I said this on air, but when you Google just 1991 video games and leave the adventure word out, it's the only representation of adventure games in Google's list. It's like Zelda, all these, Sonic, all these powerhouses, and then of course Monkey Island, which is nice to see it get the respect it deserves. But yeah, I mean, it's
Monkey
an awesome
Island.
game.
Oh, gee, man, I'm so glad it's finally getting the respect it deserves.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, in the world of regular video games, like outside of adventure games, it's like, I guess what I'm really trying to say is it's kind of amazing that the biggest adventure game of all time just barely gets a nod when the internet's talking about Sonic and Zelda and Final Fantasy and stuff like that. Right. It's like, all right, well, we'll finally mention a adventure game, but only because it's Monkey Island, like your goddamn best one. Otherwise, we're not talking about them.
Well, it was nice. It was true to one. I mean, it followed the same format. You kind of knew what you were getting into. And I mean, Lucas was really good at that sort of thing anyways. A little bit of consistency, at least between 1 and 2.
Yeah. And our previous guest, Kaiju, said it really well, where they were like, I just can't pick between the two, so I'm just going to list them as a whole, which I, always try and ham-fist you with Space Quest as a series. But I picked,
me too with Quest for Glory every time. I'm like, what's your favorite? All of them in the order they came out. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then Monkey Island, especially 1 and 2, they're so complementary. They feel it was written really smartly that they left room for a sequel, and then they delivered. Like it's got continuity down better than a lot of games of the time, because a lot of times they didn't know if there was going to be a sequel.
Exactly.
I know like Space Quest has a total sequel baiting ending. And they were like, yeah, we just thought we were going to make one. But just in case we did that. It's like, well, thank God, because that worked out actually really well for you guys. But with Monkey Island, it was... Yeah, there was kind of no luck about it. Like, the two of them play as one really well. And,
they really do.
Yeah. It's again, it's hard to talk about Monkey Island because I don't have any new or original ideas. I'd love to be controversial and be like, I don't like it. It's got or it's got a lot of problems, but like it just doesn't. It's just a great game, and like I don't know how to make that fun to listen to. Me just confirming what everybody knows and thinks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're not helping. If anybody's like, yeah, LucasArts was great, we're like, yeah. I mean, yeah, they were fine.
I think that's why. I think that's actually exactly why I like talking about Sierra so much more about LucasArts games, because it's like. Sierra games are just so like there's so much good and also a lot of flaws, whereas LucasArts is so nicely polished. It's sort of like, okay, well it's here's what it's about, and that's about, and here's what it's about, and it does that, and that's all I can really say about anything LucasArts, right? You
know how everybody says they're great? They are. Like the end, it's kind of like it's really hard to expand because they're amazing. Yeah, there's nothing controversial. You're not warning about this game does have a dead end, or this the deaths and the I don't know. Yeah, there's not a lot of controversy. They're all just great. And Monkey Island 2 is no different. So you've probably played it. If you're listening to the show.
If you're listening to this podcast, you probably played it.
On average, about 160 of you guys, and I'm sure that we're at 99% that you have. But if you haven't, What's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
you should. Yeah.
No, I haven't played Grim Fandango, so I'm not allowed to say stuff.
I've actually
All right, anyway,
I've not
we're
gotten
done.
to Monkey Island 2 yet.
Okay, that was only for you to say I wasn't going to sell you out. If you were here the whole episode, I'd probably be,
It's all good.
Yeah, you were that 1% when I said 99% of the listeners played it.
So, Rick, I hear you are here to share information with us today, or at least a question or a statement.
I actually did get a message from one of our listeners on Patreon. Lester says, "Hi, Guilders. Recently just became a Patreon. Glad you contributed to this fun show, so thank you very much. Previously, you mentioned playing The Dark Half. I don't know anybody who played that PC game besides me. I found it a really good point-and-click horror. There's something about a straight-edge razor that puts you more on edge. I like the story too. The author hears about these brutal murders similar to his character George Stark. I thought it was cool how he contacts him subconsciously scribbling on paper with a pencil. This game made me read Stephen King's novel, which is great and goes into more detail. The movie was not as great. Do you think there should have been any other games made based on Stephen King's books? I think The Stand would have been a good one."
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, The Stand would have been
a lot to
great.
unpack there. I did play The Dark Half.
So much.
It's regarded as one of the worst games, like adventure games ever, and
Really?
apparently, and I get where people are coming from. There is a lot about like just the plot holes and the adventure game logic that they're valid. The criticisms are valid, but I got through the game okay without a walkthrough. And that says something, because you kind of have to be
That's
pretty...
saying something. Wow.
I'm not saying that makes it logical. I'm just saying that, like, well, I was able to do it. So, I don't remember any part of it being so obtusely. I can't... There was moon logic, but not enough that I couldn't figure it out, right?
Right.
I think there was... Everyone picks on you're supposed to smoke cigarettes or else you can't write. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure it tells you at some point.
It's so fair.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it tells
yeah,
you. I'm pretty sure if you like do something, it says, like, oh yeah, you should be smoking or something. And then you're like, oh, well, I picked up some cigarette butts over there. I guess I can smoke that.
Exactly.
It's like, oh,
Because
congratulations.
it's not going to
you
be
figured it out.
authentic.
Yeah.
Because, like, honestly, he was drinking and doing coke, but at the time, cigarettes is reasonable.
Well, I don't think Stephen King
That was-
actually made the game.
No, he never did. He often guest starred in his stuff, but he didn't make it unless it was the actual book. So, I've never played the game, so I'm just shouting in with commentary. Although I'm a huge Stephen King fan, I've read all his books. I didn't even know that he had a game up until recently.
Well, I don't think it's Stephen King's game. I think it's just a game based on the movie that was based on Stephen King's book.
That's funny.
Right, yeah, not the same... Or unlike I Have No Mouth, where Harlan was somewhat involved,
on
I guess
it.
you could say.
Yeah, he was.
That was a minorly, educated thing for me to say in that moment. It's just like, hey, let's bring up something
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, for me, I played a few minutes of Dark Half, and I was having fun with it. I think, again, it was a case of me trying to get it to work, and then once I did, I stopped. It doesn't matter. My point is I didn't stop because I wasn't having fun. I just had to, for whatever reason, just get off my back, all right? I had to stop playing. But I was enjoying it. But anyway, I watched... Rick shared this letter with us, in our chat recently, so it inspired me to go rewatch Pushing Up Rose's video on it, which I highly recommend. And of course, her channel, she's got a lot of lovely videos on adventure games. And she did a video on it, and one of the things she did criticize was the cigarette thing, like, oh, you need a cigarette to be able to write, and she was tongue in cheek, just having fun with it. So I'm not criticizing her or anything; it's just jokes. But for me, I was like, that's a really to me, it's really logical. Like
Yeah, totally.
For a writer to be able to write if they're already previously addicted to nicotine, then I don't know.
Like,
You just
I would go
associate
back
the
to
two.
nicotine to write the book. I'd be like, you know what? I quit. But if I need to write a book, I'm going to use whatever I got to. That'd be on the docket.
It's
Yeah.
something to do while you stare at the paper. Yeah.
But the thing is, I would understand if it was like the most obtuse, like everyone gets stuck there for hours not knowing what to do. But I'm pretty sure that it, as much as it's kind of like not the most logical puzzle, I'm pretty sure it just tells you, like, oh, you can't write unless you're smoking. And then you're just like, oh, well, it's kind of gross that I just
guess I
that
should.
I'll smoke these cigarette butts that I found on the ground over there. But if they want me to, I guess I'll do that. So I don't know if people are just sort of like, well, I'm not going to smoke those. That's gross. It's like, you know.
That's it
like,
too, because like I smoked as a teenager, and I tell you what, there's nothing wrong with those. So.
Yeah. So, anyways, I had nothing against. I know that if you break it down, if you were to watch it as a someone playing a Let's Play, and you just watched that as you would watch a movie, then yeah, it would be the worst thing ever, because like none of it makes sense, and there's like not even in an irrational way, but in an illogical way. Like, you know, the police don't really do their jobs or search obvious things, and you do like tamper with evidence and all that stuff. Yeah, it's pretty. It's laid out as a story, really. Dumbly, I guess, but as a game, like I just wasn't even thinking about that. I was just playing through. I'm like, okay, well, how do I get to the next part? And that's all I thought about.
Right.
And then I get to the next part. I'm like, yay, I got to the next part. That's all I think about when I'm playing a game. So,
Actually, that's kind of what I was like during Space Quest 6, to be honest, guys. I was just happy to have another game, and I didn't really think about the continuity issues. I just played the game.
Yeah, no, it's true. That stuff definitely comes later, just from beating the same horse enough times to sound analytical.
so I guess the main question out of the message is, out of all Stephen King's books, which one would you choose to turn into a game? And I presume it'll be a point-and-click adventure game, as opposed to just sort of like free-form it. But yeah, for an adventure game, which Stephen King book would you want?
And it's funny because I was thinking about this question, and I'm going to pick, or at least I had picked, a book that I think would suit the adventure scenario very well, and that is 11/22/63. Not sure if anybody's actually read this book of his, but it's based on a fabricated historical idea of JFK when he was shot. So you're kind of doing an alternative history, and you have to keep jumping back into time to solve what happened, to figure out who shot him, or maybe even to prevent him from getting shot in the first place. And depending on what you do and what you say and where you go, which is what happens in the book, no spoilers heavily here, but, you know, different stuff will happen. And I think for a game that would be really fun. Like, you've got this time jumping, you've got the historical element, the idea of changing history, and a cool way of having a game end in different ways on you as well. So that would be my choice for sure.
Oh, that's ridiculously thoughtful. Clearly.
Dig there too. I didn't even know about that.
It's such a good book, you guys. It is such a good book.
I'm satisfied for Lester. Like, that is the answer that I could dream of, I guess. Well, I just so happen to have read all his books and thought about it all week.
I actually have read all of his books. I'm such a ridiculous fan. I am. I can't help it. They're all so good. If It Bleeds, to The Institute, any of the newer stuff, it's, yes, everything. All of it.
Wow.
And I was going to say the Gunslinger series, but I didn't want to go easy on it. But like, if I was to think about it, because, you know, and the movie adaptations haven't been that great, so it's hard to say. But I'm going to stick with my answer.
All right, we're gonna have to give Anna a water cooler episode where she just can.
Oh my God, I have ideas for so many of his books. I have thought about this before you asked, Lester, so I was excited.
I have not read many of Stephen King's books. I've seen a bunch of the movies. I don't know if it's cheating to base a game on the movie instead of the books. They can stray quite a bit from the source material with some of these movies. I also do wish I could say something just kind of like unconventional, just sort of like a little throw people for a loop. But so I'm just going to go with on writing. And I don't know how that's going to turn into a game, but I'm just going to say that because I got nothing else.
Like as a text adventure that teaches you things. Huh? You write. It becomes a game where you have to write your own book within it.
It's a game where you have to learn Stephen King's way of writing, and you have to smoke cigarettes before you can do anything. I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm just going to go with like it. I don't know.
You could do Firestarter. It's self-explanatory.
You know what? It actually.
Use matches on item. Oh no, is that what it is? Firestarter.
That's really good.
You said it's self-explanatory, so I'm letting it explain itself.
It's essentially, yeah, it's like the same direction you would go with Carrie, right? The end goal being, where do you find the pig's blood or something? It's just...
In this case, it's, you start a fire.
Yeah, you start the game with fire, you end the game with the fire. It's
just make all the fires, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It would actually be, I think, a really cool adventure game because there's not enough spooky adventure games, like not enough scary adventure games, and the playing as all the kids as the losers would be cool because it would, you could get that kind of Maniac Mansion kind of vibe, have 5 or 6, however many losers there are, right? And you pick your team and switch between characters. That's what I'm trying to say. I'd like to see like a Lucasfilm era adaptation of that.
I'm glad that
it'd be a really long game.
I'm glad that in the time that I said it until you explained all that, you clearly put a lot more thought into it than I did.
Together, it sounded coherent because I needed the jumping off point.
You could totally you could do Needful Things, but like John Saw's Blackstone Chronicles. So like you get like the static screens and you have to go around and you have to pick objects and you have to understand what person in town they related to and how it affects them and their greed, because that's kind of what it's all about anyways. So it would work really well with that object manipulation.
Right. Wait, it?
No, Needful Things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one with the store. And then everything in the store is connected to somebody in town who has some sort of like a thing going on, and it's all like, they want that because... That would play out really well.
Yeah, I'm stretched pretty thin because I've actually hadn't heard of that until about 4 minutes ago.
That's a really good book. That one's worth... And The Long Walk, you could do that. It's one of his Bachman books because you have to keep walking, and if you stop walking, you die. So, like, you have to play the game, and you have to figure out a way to keep walking. Yeah, it's like a walking sim, but if you stop walking, you die, right? That's good.
A lot of these write themselves, so that's nice.
They really do. They really do write themselves. These are so good. Like, honestly, I've had fun with this question. I think I was glad you were able to come on tonight because I would have totally forgotten to read it. So yay, Rick.
How about a point-and-click Gerald's Game?
Every time I hear the name Gerald's Game, I picture Geraldo, and I don't know why I associate the two of them in my head, but like every freaking time.
But isn't that story like the entire time she's just like handcuffed to the bed and that's it?
Yeah, but it's a psychological horror,
Again,
right?
That's based on the movie that I saw about it. I'm not sure how faithful they remained.
It's essentially the same thing. Like, whoops, women, they're trouble sometimes. He's kind of like that. You look at Misery, right? I'm your number one fan. You could make that as a game, and you're the guy, you're the author, and you're trying to escape, and you're trying to write a book. Or
that
you
would be
play
a good one.
as
damn,
her.
That's a good book.
That would totally work.
That would be really cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
How about a point-and-click Adventure of Misery where you play as Annie?
And you're like, how do you chop off his leg as a minigame, or whatever? That'd be great.
It's just, you got to make
Arcade
sure that...
sequence.
You just got to make sure he doesn't just get away.
Then you could do Cujo, but you're Cujo.
Yeah. Sorry, we're taking all this... We're taking all the choices away from Paul here, so we've kind of left him with nothing. What you got there, Paul?
Oh shit! Is it your turn?
Somehow literally after naming 80% of his catalog have not mentioned the two that I would like today. Okay. So we're good. I got two. One unfortunately is uncreative, and I've had to think of a second, which I just done a second ago. But the one was The Stand. That was going to be my choice because it's the only Stephen King book I've ever read, which is weird, right? Because it's biblical,
and that's why you've never read any further.
When I finished it, I was just exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. Not that it wasn't good. Just like it's like you read The Stand. You've read you've done your quota for the next 5 years.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I had no more stamina left.
It's actually very relevant right now, right? Because you've got disease, you've got all that stuff. I think it was like an influenza-based thing, right? So
yeah. Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about the timing of it all. But
yeah, it almost kills the whole entire world population. No big deal. You're fine.
In case that sounds insensitive to the times, whoops. But hold on. Maybe we'll take a hard left. I was gonna say that it'd be cool to get an apocalyptic game that wasn't like cyberpunk or wasn't dystopian.
Yeah.
Well, it is dystopian, I guess. It isn't cyberpunk. I'll stick with that. But, there's a, you lose some realism with cyberpunk, right? Because we've never lived in it, so it's it's not it can be relatable. I'd imagine more so in like Tokyo, but yeah, it's just not. It'd be cool to do that. But anyway, my other choice is going to be Stand By Me.
I was going to say that would be great because you could play I won't say it. I will. But you could play multiple characters again, right?
Exactly, yeah.
How about a mashup? Just Stand By Me.
So like John Lennon is like one of the characters in the game. You got like this whole mashup going. That'd be great.
Okay. Stand By Me fits point and click because I feel like I could picture like they'll throw in a dash of Willie Beamish, him and his friends palling around, but then throw in a dead body and
yeah.
We might have mentioned Willie Beamish at some point in the show.
Yeah, maybe.
Have we mentioned that before?
Possibly
I think that might have
once
come out
before
in '91. I don't know. But no,
I guess honestly, I think we could sit here all day just like naming off anything Stephen King and it would probably work. Because they're very story based, and if you want to go point and click like this, it's hard not to turn a Stephen King story into a point and click.
You could do
Shawshank
thinner,
Redemption,
but your job is to try not to get thin.
Shawshank Redemption would be good too.
Yeah, I like Shawshank. Shawshank would be a good one because you got to befriend like critters and it'd be fun.
Or imagine just like Night Shift, like just a compilation of short point and click adventure games. Each ones are just like completely unrelated stories.
Oh, that's exciting.
That would be so much fun. I would do that. He did this one just after sunset, and then like the guy got locked in a porta potty. It was like the grossest one ever. The whole story was him trying to escape from a porta potty. That would make a hilarious mini game.
Yeah.
Where's this episode going now? I'm sorry, guys. Just this is what Stephen King does to me. I'm thinking of like big piles of shit and death and murder and mayhem, and I love it. This is great, though. But the Dark Tower, seriously, I'm going back to that again. Imagine having a game that was like text-based like Zork, but you wake up on the beach in the first Gunslinger book. I guess you guys haven't read it, but really, and then the whole thing is looking for... Anyways, it would work really, really well. Is my point. I got to stop now. This is too much. Such a great question.
I'm leaning hard on the fact that there's like specifically 2 listeners that are as excited about Stephen King as you are, and they're just having the best time right now. This is for you guys.
Thanks, guys. Props to you. It's support. That's good. All right, I'm good. I feel good about this. I feel good. Unless, what about Pet Cemetery? But you're trying to like bring pets to life. Like, put a little twist on it. It doesn't have to be totally authentic to the book.
I'm just going to...
Well, they'll have it like people come to you and they're like, I used to have a dog named Sadie and, he's died. And they'll bring him to you and you have to bury them and try to make them come back to life. But it's like a series of elements. You have to direct it. You have to look at rain and...
Yeah.
I'm just going to start playing the outro music at this point in the edit.
Just trail us off. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
All right. No, I don't feel like you're done. Let's just get it out there. This is the time.
This is the time. No, I'm good. I'm good, you guys. I'm good. This was fun. I appreciate it. You could do Cell. So like, it would be great because okay, you could do it on the other side of things. You have to figure out the frequency that gets people zombified, and then you have to figure out the right kind of music to get the zombies dancing. If you've read it, you know what I mean. So
cool.
It'd be good. Yeah.
Do you have a button right now saying "Ask me about Christine"?
Well, who doesn't want a game about a car? Now you've got like a Stephen King racing sim game, and it'll obviously be better than the movie. So, and you wouldn't have to try very hard for it to be better than the movie.
All right, like I said, this is the time. Might as well. We're already we're into this. We're in the trenches. I can't get.
You have to figure out, like I said, how not to die of rabies and at the same time murder everybody. And I don't know if you've read the book, but the book had a
No, I'm just naming them. I'm just like trolling right now. I'm just throwing them out there and like.
I'm taking you so seriously, though.
All right,
Lisi's story. Come on.
And I got a challenge for you. Can you make The Shining work as a point and click? Because I can't. Because you're just a guy who's slowly going crazy. How do you depict that? What do you give him to do until like the very end when it's kill your family?
Well, you're in. Hit your. Okay, you go ahead. I was going to say in this game, you're kind of like it's all of the characters in the house, and you have to make character progression happen. It's kind of like a story. What are they called? The interactive story. Right? Because it's going to happen. He's going to go crazy. You want to hear the lines. You want to see the shit. You want to see the twins in the hallway visually.
I've only seen the movie, like the Kubrick versions, which I understand is like a complete departure from the actual book. But so the only thing I can really say is that the game will consist of you just typing all work and no play over and over again. It'll be like typing tutor, but for a very specific. It's a very specifically focused.
And you have to. Yeah, the blood will appear, and you have to type the words as the bloody words appear to make the bloody words disappear.
No, it's just Mavis Beacon teaches all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. It's
kind of like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, right? It's a good one.
I think this just proved my point that it can't be made into a point and click.
I'm actually picturing it as a really adorable point and click right now. I think it would work. I really do.
If you were everyone but Jack?
You have to be Jack. You have to slowly go crazy.
No, I think you have to play like the wife and just like try to get away from the guy.
Oh, Wendy. Yeah.
It basically turns into Phantasmagoria.
Yeah, it would have to. They said that the lady that played her in that.
You just described Phantasmagoria.
Pretty much. I wonder if the two main actors fell in love and dated. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that did not happen.
Oh, what a gross visual. Jeez Louise.
Oh, man.
Fantastic. Well, that's all the time I've got. Apparently not Anna, but...
Well, hey, wait. It's like 2:15 in the morning for you, Rick. So, you know.
No, and I'm still slightly feverish. So.
I bet. I can tell you're more fun than usual.
That is to say, at all. I'm currently a 2 out of 10.
Okay, can we be done? Or are you?
I think it's done.
I'm done.
Okay, all right.
Ooh, the running man.
I understand if there's...
Children of the Corn?
Sorry, Paul.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to the show. That's all she wrote. Come join the discussion. We're a Facebook page and group on Facebook. That's fine. It works. You're probably tired too from listening. We're all just a little, ready to be done. So let's keep moving. Classic Gamers Guild on Facebook or page or a group. Come join the bloody conversation. Do it. We're on Instagram and Twitter at CGG Podcast. And send us an email, mail@classicgamersguild.com. If you want us to reply to that same email, but several months later, send it to our Patreon. And speaking of that, thank you very much for being a Patreon if you are. If you're not, you can be. Just throwing it out there. Crazier things have happened. But it doesn't matter. We're here, we're doing this, and this is real back in. This is when I thank the Patreons, which is super important. Thank you guys. We love you sincerely. And also to those in the extra special thanks tier. That would be Una and Gus, Jean-Francois Paget, Jay Holmes, and Mark Fillion. And go check out Chinatown Detective Agency on Steam. Give it a wish list. That's it. That's all we got time for. Leave the podcast a review and smash the like buttons and go wish list all the things. So, don't do murder. Okay, no, so I thought I was going to sneeze. It's passing. Okay. I hate when that happens. Nothing worse than losing
Me
a good
too.
sneeze.
I know, it's like something's taken away from you, and it is the closest thing to an orgasm you can experience in a human body, right? So I've heard said. I mean, it's a thing. I mean, legit.
I hear tell. Yeah.